Welcome to Fort Dram and Goal. We're ready to whip out with our pick out. The draft is over, so grab a glass, put the game on mute, and take a listen.
Let's do this.
Welcome to Fort Dram and Goal. I'm your host, Kurt, and I got my co-host, Dick, here.
What's up, Drammers?
What is up? What is up is right. All right, we're going to get into it. We're going to do what we do best. We're going to talk sports. We're going to drink good whiskey tonight. Well, that's usually what we do, but we'll just keep that trend going. We're going to
Preach, brother.
We're going to talk some NFL draft, obviously. We're going to talk some things that Aaron Rodgers is bringing the drama. We're going to talk the Derby, and we're going to talk good old whiskey news. Dick's going to nerd out as usual. Dick, hit them with the socials.
All right, thanks, Kurt, man. So, Drammers, as usual, we always want to make sure we bring the socials to forefront of everything we do, as well as the tail end of what we do. As usual, you can always pick us up at fourthdramandgoal.com. That's our website. We've also got the Instagram and Twitter at 4THDRAM. That's Fourth Dram, all one word. Hashtag Fourth Dram. Tag us in any of your Insta or Twitter posts. And then Facebook, we got Fourth Dram and Goal. It's kind of our central spot, pulls all of our social media together. And then, as always, you can always stream us on all of your podcast streaming apps, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Audible, CastBox, Spotify, whatever you're listening to us on right now. Make sure that you're going ahead and rate and reviewing, as well as subscribing to us. And then, of course, tell your friends about us, man. We want the followers. We need the feedback. We want to make this show continuously better. You know, that whole mantra of never stop improving, get better every day. That's what we're about here. And on that note, if you want to send us some candid feedback, send us an email at fourthdramandgoal@gmail.com. That's one word, 4thdramandgoal@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. Tell us what's going on. Tell us what questions you have. If you've got any cool topics, or hey, if you want to be on the show, we're always welcome to bringing on some guests and talking sports, talking whiskey, and shooting the shit. So before we move on to our meat and potatoes of the show, we're going to talk a little bit about what we're drinking tonight. So we both picked up a special one that Kurt talked about. I've got something probably a little bit more findable. Kurt has something that is a special release. So I'm going to let him go first.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited tonight. As you know, I'm big into Maker's Mark, and this was just a real good find. And actually, I'm starting to think, I'm seeing this one a lot more on social media. I'm wondering if this one's a lot more available than last year's. But went to a great dinner here in Houston. If you saw the Instagram, you saw I ate at Potente downtown. Absolutely phenomenal. And then afterwards, I was around I don't know if it's the original. You may know this more than me. Specs. That's a Houston.
It's a Houston staple, man. Yeah. Born and bred right there.
So they have the cool one downtown, the warehouse. So I figured I'd run in and saw the Maker's Mark Wood Finishing Series 2021 limited release on the shelf. So grab that.
Isn't that like FAE-01 or something like that?
Yes, it is. FAE-01. I think this is the third year they've done this wood finishing series. This one's got a lot of cool detail on the bottle. Has the tasting notes on there, a fruit-forward expression with notes of tobacco and wood. I will be the judge of that tasting note. Stave details, 10 virgin toasted American oak staves. Proof right in my sweet spot, 110.6. And yeah, they got a cool, elaborate story on the back going into about it. So I'm excited to tell you my thoughts on this one.
That's awesome, man. And, speaking of like wood finishing series, I hadn't even put the two together till you said that. What I'm drinking tonight is I've got Belfour as an Eddie Belfour. We've talked about this whiskey here on the show before. I was actually able to find the one that's finished in the Texas pecan wood. So it's a 92 proofer, non-aged stated. So this is going to be a minimum of 2 years, but it's finished with pecan staves, which if you're watched any kind of YouTube videos, it's kind of a big thing right now, or has been for the last 6 months to a year, is taking your own whiskey and putting different kind of wood staves in it to really change the flavor profile of the whiskey and really the nose as well. So I'm really interested to try this one out. I've actually already reviewed it, so I'll be rock and roll, ready to go. For the listeners out there, we're talking about something that's a 60% corn, 30% wheat, and 10% malted barley. Pretty standard mash bill, nothing too crazy. I will say the coolest thing about this bottle so far
is the bottle
not
itself.
Just the bottle itself. We're talking like this 1920s Baroque revival style. It is a beautiful bottle. And I even told Kurt, hey, when he gets his house and he gets the bar, I'm going to make this into a lamp for him. It'll be a centerpiece. So I'm excited to do that.
It is a pretty sweet bottle. And I think if you're doing the celebrity thing, which Eddie Belfour, we talked about before, former Stanley Cup winning goalie for the Stars, you've got to at least got a decent bottle. And I like, when you compare it to this one, it's not as cool. But like when McConaughey did the Long Branch, that's a pretty cool looking bottle.
It's a cool bottle. We did Terry Bradshaw's whiskey.
See that
one? The bottle's not great. I think they could step their game up.
The whiskey's good.
The whiskey's okay. Yeah, it's good.
The bottle does not stand out on the shelf.
It doesn't. I think it would do a lot more for their PR if they could get a better bottle in place.
I think if you played off the black and yellow of the Steelers a little bit more, maybe.
I will say this couple cool things about it. It's bottled at a proof that's his exact completion percentage. It's like 50.3 or 51.3, which I thought was a kind of a cool little tidbit of information.
Well, I wish his passing percentage was a little bit higher, so it could get more to this 110 proof like this Maker's Mark. And we've talked about Maker's Mark, how I just became a fan within the last year and a half, where Maker's Mark cast strength, that's a go-to. You can walk into the store and get that. That's just good, and that's the one that it always on social media, like, oh, this is always underappreciated. I love it. I'm a huge fan of Maker's Mark. If I ever did go to Kentucky, which I think we've been talking about this recently, Maker's Mark would absolutely be one of the first stops I would want to make.
I think that's a great point. And Maker's Mark, we've talked about this before too, and not to just keep talking about shit we've already talked about. But have you ever met anybody and said, do you want Maker's Mark? And they're like, no, I don't like Maker's Mark. You'll meet people, you want Jack Daniels. No, I don't like Jack Daniels. Jim Beam, I don't like Jim Beam, but I don't think I've ever run across anybody who said they did not like Maker's Mark.
I've seen it online, and that's what
Those people are real. Fake news.
That's what I worry about these bottles, because you will see quite a few post a picture with this bottle, and they'll say, I'm usually not a Maker's Mark fan. Well,
shut the fuck up.
Why not? And then, oh, this one's different. I've seen mixed reviews. I did not get my hands on last year's. I guess it would have. I can't even tell you the initials it was, but it was the one that had the.
I want to say it was like AE7 or something like that.
Yeah, I didn't get my hands on that one, so I can't compare. But no, I mean, I'm going into this as a fan of Maker's Mark, and I'm hoping it has some of the traditional taste and flavors there, because I absolutely love cast strength. What was the price on that one that you got the Belfour?
Right about $78, $80.
Okay, so this was like 68.
Yeah.
So this is a heavy hitters night.
Yeah. I mean, this is that price point where you don't want to tell your wife, but you're probably not going to sleep on the couch.
Well, that's why you take your wife to a 5-star dinner.
Yeah, you would baller. Yeah. I got to make a stop real quick.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, then let's get into that second dram there, buddy.
All right, let's do it. So headlines. This is the section where we like to kind of fill out, hey, what's happening right now as we're recording, or recently. Hopefully by the time we release this, it's not completely old news, but there's always that chance. I think the coolest thing right now happening, and not coolest, but funnest story, if you will, is Aaron Rodgers, man. There's a lot of drama. We're not going to talk about the draft yet. We'll hold that. But a lot of drama around Aaron Rodgers. He may hang up his cleats and just go host Jeopardy. I don't know.
Drama on the fact that he did it the day of the draft. Drama about the drama. And I'll get into that. Like, well, let's get into that now. Do you see where Joe Horn was all upset that Rodgers did that day and his son got drafted, and he was like, well, that really distracts from everything.
Is there anything more Rodgers, though, than to do something like that?
Well, that and your son got drafted. I mean, are you watching the TV when they're talking about him? Or are you hugging him and celebrating when he gets drafted? I don't know. I'm not Joe Horn. I'm never, 1,000 times more athletic ability, him and his son. So I don't know. I mean, I hope my son can someday be in that situation. But anyway, back to Aaron Rodgers. So yeah, that was the bombshell the day of the draft. Do you expect something like this from Aaron Rodgers, Mister? I sit in the back of the bed of the truck with a Bud Light pack, and I mean, do you expect this from him?
So my take on Aaron Rodgers is the guy is a quiet guy, but he likes the attention. If you look at kind of his track record,
I wouldn't say he's a quiet guy.
Okay, so fair. I'll let you challenge me on that. But
Pat McAfee, like every week, he always does interviews.
He likes to play the I'm Aaron Rodgers.
Did he do SNL?
I don't remember, but if you think about his track record, I mean, he's not in the forefront like blasting people on Twitter like KD or something like that. He's more likes to play the, I don't want to say shy guy, but
he's freaking discount double check Rodgers.
Well, he doesn't do that, Rodgers. He doesn't do discount double check anymore. But yes, he's that Rodgers. He's the Jeopardy host. He's the guy picking up beer by Lambeau Field in the back of a pickup truck. To your point, he's an interesting guy. And even if you go like his family history with his brother and all the drama that happened with his ex-girlfriend, not his current wife, but his ex-girlfriend, and basically cutting himself off from his entire family and all that dirty laundry that got aired, it's some extra kind of shit. But he's an interesting dude. So yeah, I do expect this behavior from him, but I don't think he likes to play into the loud, arrogant Green Bay Packers quarterback mentality. He likes to do it from like the shadows and play like mind games with people.
I kind of like what you pointed to there, and I know I'm going to answer my own question. So this is expected from a guy like Aaron Rodgers, but a lot of this is unwanted attention that he's going to get because he is Aaron Rodgers. The family stuff, he's not asking for that. That was leaked out, and it's all over the place.
Well, that was his brother trying to get on The Bachelor, but yeah.
Yeah, and he did, right?
He did, yeah. He was one of the Bachelors, but that's why it came out.
And then even this, I'm sure Aaron Rodgers' main thought was not like, hey, I want to ruin the draft day or I want to be all over the news. I'm sure it was like, hey, I'm Aaron Rodgers. I want to freaking win. The Packers are just like forcing my hand. And then the news gets out. So, yeah, I guess as I thought more about it, it's expected for a guy like Aaron Rodgers, but it's not like.
Do you think he's right? Do you think he has a point?
Yeah. I mean, he had a point last year when they did what they did during that draft.
Yep. Agreed.
I mean, holy hell.
Agreed.
Like, quarterbacks these days would have pulled the James Harden and been out of town already. And he actually sat there and went through the year and
played amazingly.
You're going to have to fill me in here because I actually don't have that. Well, sure, why not? Let's go ahead and see what did the Packers did something Packer like with their first pick, right?
So this year they drafted a quarterback. Last year their first round pick was This year they drafted a cornerback. Last year they drafted a quarterback. That was the first round draft pick they had spent on a quarterback since Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, so basically what you're saying is they didn't pick somebody in the first round to help Aaron Rodgers out, right?
Exactly. They picked a weird cornerback. I wouldn't have drafted him, but
Eric Stokes, Georgia.
Yeah, wouldn't have.
Yeah. So he has a point. The frustration's there. And it's funny because he keeps doing what he's doing without like big names. I mean, heck, it took Tom Brady on a hot streak to end them this year, and that's because they kind of had that second half comeback, if I remember. If you take away Brady's fourth down and the touchdown right before the half, it's probably a different game. Coaching decision, kicking it instead of going for it, things that he probably didn't have to do it. So, yeah. I'm sure
if Aaron Jones would have shown up.
Yeah, I'm sure it's all things that he's probably pissed off. And
if I'm him, I'm like, go get me a damn receiver. Get me some weapons. Like, I just need some weapons.
Yeah.
He's still got at least 5 years on him. He's still one of the premier quarterbacks in the league.
I wish him the best. I hope he ends up somewhere exciting. They would never give him to,
Houston. Rumors start.
Don't get me started. Yeah, I'll take that. Watson for Rodgers, sure, why not? They're not going to send him to Minnesota. And it looks like we'll get.
They don't need to send him to.
It looks like that division's pretty set at quarterback for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah, we wish Rodgers the best. I love that guy. I mean, even when he does the Pat McAfee show, he's a great character. He did the charity with Portnoy for Barstool when they were doing the COVID fund. He's a cool guy.
He is. Yeah, I like him too.
He's on the team that I've always hated, and I think it's because of the green and yellow. But I love Aaron Rodgers.
I don't know. I've always been a Pack fan, so maybe I'm biased, but yeah, I agree. I loved him when he did Jeopardy too. But let's move on to the next topic. Let's keep Rodgers in the midst of it. Kentucky Derby. So
that's a fun day for you, right?
Oh yeah, dude! Mint juleps all day. I actually got my wife to drink bourbon.
Mint jubilees, yeah, hell yeah, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's what it's called. This year, my wife had like 2 mint juleps, and then I got her to agree that next year we're going to go to the Kentucky Derby. So I'm excited about that.
My dad has stories of that, and he actually was in the infield one time, and he says that is the funnest and craziest. I don't know how much it is these days, but back then it was literally a cheap ticket. You got in there and you just tailgated in the middle of the field like all day long. So that it sounds like a pretty cool thing. And then heck, if you're going to go visit bourbon country, what better time to go?
Exactly. So a ticket to get in the door right now is $85, or it was this year. The actual seat in the stands is $1,400 is the cheapest one.
Oh, we're going to stand all day, baby. That's going to be standing room only. Let's do it.
I'll be standing and sitting on the ground if I need to. So that was kind of a cool event. The favorite did not win. The odds on favorite, Medina Spirit, did win. It's a 15-1. It made, I'm going to mess up his name, but it made that trainer. He's now won 7 Kentucky Derbies, so he's the winningest trainer of all time. They did a interview with him.
Seabiscuit.
That was not the trainer's name, but they did an interview with him.
I'm pretty sure his name is C.E. Biscuit.
Okay, yeah. They did an interview with him and Bill Belichick, which was funny because they had both 6, championships, and then he won a 7th, so now he's better than Bill.
I did not watch it. My take from the Kentucky Derby was Mattress Mac had another great bet. If the favorite won, anybody who spent over $3,000, basically it was free. That didn't happen. And the memes, man. Tom Brady looking like old dude from Roger Rabbit. There was a good one. Speaking of Aaron Rodgers, where Aaron Rodgers looked like the cop looking for Tom Brady, the bad guy.
No, he didn't. He looked like the pilot from Narcos Mexico. I sent you that. Looked just like hair slicked back. You got the aviators on.
I like the cop one better. That was just a
Bob Baffert is the trainer's name.
Bob Badford. That sounds exactly
Baffert,
like I would have
Baffert.
So yeah, those were my takes. I did not watch it. Of course, I always check the highlights. Oh, cool! It was a close race. It was exciting. Now we wait to see if we're going to have a Triple Crown winner like we do every year.
I don't know, man. With a 15-1 odd, I don't know. We'll see. So, fun fact, 18 of the 20 horses who qualified are actually have direct lineage from Secretariat. The 2 that don't, one of them is named Hot Rod Charlie. And if you guys watched the Kentucky Derby, it drove me absolutely fucking nuts because it was the most entitled frat boy situation I've ever seen in my life. It's 5 dudes who all played football at Brown together, took all the same classes, had all the same majors, and were best friends. When they graduated, they're like, how do we stay in touch? And one of them, whose uncles both are Kentucky Derby winning trainers, basically was like, oh, we could buy a horse and, we could be horse owners together, go all 5 in. What 22-year-olds have enough money to go buy a fucking Kentucky Derby horse and pay to train it? You know who does? Brown graduates, and just come from money. And I watched it and I was like, oh, these guys don't seem that bad. And then they go to the grandstands and these dudes are like the most draped out, douchey looking guys you could have possibly imagined. Frat boy bullshit, just hammered. And I was a little bit jealous. I'm not going to lie.
Well, I'll interrupt you there, Dick. I mean, their story is not so different than ours. instead of a private school. We went to two public funded
And
establishments.
we're drowning in debt.
Instead of horses, me and you had kids. We
I
paid
thought it
a
was
lot
gonna be the
for them.
podcast. We did the podcast together.
And that was the conclusion. We had kids and we do a podcast together. Very similar story.
Very similar, yeah.
And we get draped out sometimes.
Sure. Yeah. Anyway, that was a little fun nuance there, but all fun of the weekend. You got to go to an amazing dinner. You got to pick up an amazing bottle, go to the original specs. I sat here and watched Kentucky Derby, but Sunday was a little bit more exciting for you. Tell us about what you did.
All right. So on Sunday, I did have an exciting day. Saturday was just as exciting, dinner with the wife. But Sunday, it was a little bit more back to normal. I would say this last weekend was the most back to normal weekend I've had. I went to Pluckers with a buddy, which I think is a Texas thing. I don't know if they have Pluckers outside of it, but it's literally great wings, great beer. Enough said. And then I got to go to the Knicks versus Rockets. And that was the first sporting event I had been to since the COVID situation started.
You could say the word pandemic. It is a thing.
I know I can say pandemic, but I'm trying to be a positive person here, damn it. Anyway, so how was it? It was great, man. I mean, arena food, arena beer, no matter how stale and shitty it is, it's always great.
Were there long lines? Like, did they have enough concessions open?
Awesome. No, it was a little depressing. Half the stands were still closed.
But was that because the Rockets suck, or because
it could have actually been that? And if you had told me a year ago that I was going to get a cheap ticket because the Rockets sucked and not the Knicks, whoa, 2021, man,
coming at you.
No, but it was a good time. I would say, it looked less than half full.
The picture you sent me, it looked like there were 17 people there, including the players.
Yeah, but it was funny because I think they announced that it was a sold-out game with the tickets available, and the Knicks fans showed up. I'll say that. There were Knicks fans all over the place. And yeah, it was a great game. Knicks kicked ass. Derrick Rose is like in a time machine right now, doing good things. Julius Randle is in the MVP conversation. The Knicks do have probably the hardest stretch closing the year off. They get the Suns, they get the Bucks, they get teams like that. They close the year off against the Celtics, which is going to be tough because I want them to stay at that 4 spot and get nowhere near that playoff play-in situation. That is a possibility, but they have guaranteed. I know. I don't want any part of that. So they got to they got to win a couple over the next stretch. But they are guaranteed their first winning season since 2013. So me and Spike Lee are really excited. We've talked about it all week. Sometimes we include Stephen A. Smith. Just kind of depends if we have time. But yeah, it was a good time, man.
That's awesome, man. You made me think of a stat I saw today. Different player, but Russell Westbrook. I read something today that he can average 0.0 assists and 0 rebounds for the rest of the season and still average a triple-double for the year. That's
pretty
insane.
Amazing, huh? Pretty amazing. And if he had...
Because he's a ball hog, but yeah.
If he was in any place other than the one city that I forget has a pro basketball team every now and then, there's 2 teams that I tend to forget they exist as a franchise. The Washington Wizards, which used to be the Washington Bullets. And when's the last time the Pittsburgh Pirates have been like relevant?
Pittsburgh Pirates. That's a baseball team.
No shit. I said 2 franchises. In general. Sorry, Dick. I had to specify.
I was like, what?
Football, every team has their fan base. Basketball.
10 years? 10 years, the Pirates?
I don't even know.
No, they had they had one good player.
Would you say baseball has the most you have the Diamondbacks and the Padres and you kind of just forget about them? Well, not the Padres now.
I don't forget about the Diamondbacks.
Oh, yeah, because you're from somehow.
I'm not from, but my family's from Arizona. So
yeah, there you go.
I don't know. You made me think of like the next hat I'm going to get. Random fucking thought. Tucson Gila Monsters. It's their minor league hockey team, dude. Eddie Belfour got me thinking about what's a cool hockey jersey or hat I could get. Tucson Gila Monsters coming at you.
I had the Nashville Predators jersey. I had a New York Rangers jersey. And probably one of the coolest jerseys all across sports, the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, you've told us about that. You're a fanboy. We get it.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Looking at this Belfour, it's got the wings on it. Ah.
Well, he was the Eagle.
Yeah, I know, but it's. I was trying to make a tie into your.
All right, let's get into the nose of this glass. Let's get into some whiskey because we still got to talk about that draft, bro. All right, as Dick pulls out his notebook, I'm not a notebook guy. I kind of have a huge brain, so it all stays up there. Ladies first, or you want me to go?
I'll let the ladies go first. What do you think?
You know what? You have the more expensive bottles. You go for it.
No. I insist. Yours is rare.
Lady. This is getting edited, right?
No.
Oh, you suck. All right. So you see tobacco. And tobacco comes out. And this may make sense. This may not make sense. But I think the tobacco, what it's saying, notes of tobacco, I'm getting call. I texted you. Caramel and maple syrup bomb. And that is like traditional notes you get from Maker's Mark. And this like times 5. Sweetness, but then it's funny because it does finish with that kind of cigar tobacco kind of leafy kind of nose on it. It's really good if you are a Maker's Mark fan. I will say that. But those are the 3 things that are standing out big time. Tobacco, maple, caramel. And then, of course, you're going to get a little bit of vanilla there. But the other 3 are really just taking over. And none of those notes, nothing's wrong with that.
The tobacco is a weird one for me. I think traditional tobacco smells, those are good, but I don't know. I've smelled some bad tobacco.
Well, I've gotten it on like ryes, like the spice on them sometimes. Yeah. But this one is no. This is like the cigar, like leaf.
Earthiness.
A little bit, but no, not even that. Just take a cigar to your nose, and I'm getting a faint bit of that.
Yeah, so like the sweet cigar.
There you go, sweet cigar.
Yeah.
You said earthy, so I'm thinking.
Oh, there are some cigars that smell earthy.
Yeah, but those
smoke like dirt.
Flavorful ones to me. So this one's have you ever had a cognac dipped cigar?
No. That sounds bougie AF.
Oh, I had one in New Orleans. It's called the El Presidente.
I know which cigar you're talking about.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, 2 a.m. New Orleans probably wasn't a good time to enjoy it, but good stuff.
I typically stick to like Cohibas. But all right, not
Tell
that
me
you
about
asked.
That eagle there, buddy.
Yeah, so I'll tell you about the Belfour that I'm drinking. So it's finished with pecan staves. So I think that gives a little bit of ode to its actual, or I'm gonna say ode, probably hint to its actual like nose. Have you ever had or done any landscaping and gotten pecan shells to actually lay down as your topsoil for like a flower bed?
Oh, yeah, sure. Just last spring, I went ahead and I didn't fucking do that. No, Dick, I've never done that.
Okay. So for those who have done that, it doesn't smell like when you open the bag where it's super sweet, but it smells like the after aroma on your hands after you've worked with it. So pecan shells is kind of a gimme and maybe even a cop out because
instead of like using them for landscaping, could you have gone with like, hey, have you ever like cracked a couple pecans open?
It smells different. It's a different smell. I promise.
So not just like put it in the nutcracker, crack it open.
That's not what it smells like to me. It smells like pecan landscaping bags. I don't know.
Oh, pecan landscaping bag. Okay. Continue.
So then you get like sweet fruit, like cherry, apple kind of thing. There's almost like this apple covered cinnamon thing to it. A little bit of barrel spice. And then I think the overwhelming piece here is this like burnt brown sugar, especially after it's been sitting out a little bit, which is pretty typical with bourbons as the alcohol actually burn or wafts off of it. It's pretty good though, man. There's nothing I don't like.
Do they do a majority rye, or is it just?
They have 2 ryes.
Okay, and this is not one of them, obviously, but okay. Well, what's your grade there, buddy?
A-. What about you?
People are going to say it's because you love Maker's Mark, and I'm going to say I don't give a shit. This is an A. I could smell this bad boy all day. I like it. It's good stuff. I mean, like I said, caramel, maple syrup. It's what I like about Maker's Mark. Exploded. So, I mean, yeah, I'm going to give that a good solid grade. I'm going to give that an A.
All right. I think we can both argue that so far, so good. We're not sorely disappointed, which we typically rarely are on the nose. It's typically in the palate where you get to make or break. So that being said, let's go ahead and get into our third dram. And what else can we possibly talk about? We just concluded NFL draft weekend, Kentucky Derby weekend.
The pick is in. That's actually not the jingle, is it? It's ding, ding, ding.
I like the Sports Center. I don't
know if you could tell, but I'm drinking this Maker's Mark pretty fast because it's pretty good. But we're going to keep it going into the big topic.
So we're talking about a recap and thoughts. We're going to break it out into winners and losers. I want to lead us off, though, by the winners. And you can't argue with me on this. Well, you can, but you're going to be wrong. The winners, every fan that got to attend and sit in the chair.
That was stupid.
I thought that was awesome. I thought it was a great gimmick.
That was stupid. It looked so awkward. They would sit there at times.
But you got to meet Roger Goodell.
Yeah, and he would come and try to talk to some of them. And I don't know if they were scared shitless. Some of them were more natural. It just was an awkward situation. It just, I guess it was cool. I mean, bring him up and just let him announce every couple and then move on.
I don't know. Would you have wanted to sit in the chair?
Well, yeah, but I'm cool. And I wouldn't have sat there and looked like Roger Goodell was my weird uncle that nobody likes to talk to and like rubs my shoulder too long. I mean, I would have been a little bit more natural. I say that. And then, of course, if you put me up there, I probably would have.
I thought it was a cool gimmick.
Like he's offering me a freaking Welch's, candy or something. But yeah, I mean, just one of those, whatever. I was just excited to see the crowd and the.
Yeah, they were definitely packed in there. Everybody was vaccinated. Thought it was a good move. The breakout, I thought the awkward part every time they had someone come up there and talk about like, oh, brownies this, brownies that. Like anybody that's not a Browns fan or maybe even in that division gives 2 shits about being a brownie because there's no good history there.
In Cleveland,
at least winning history. Let's say that
they're gonna fight you.
I know it's okay. I know
has one of the longest histories in the National Football League.
Oh, you mean since 1999?
You ruffle some feathers there, Dick.
It's okay. It's okay. This will maybe get some people to email us and want to fight about it. Let's do it.
Sure, yeah.
But I did love the passion like that the actual Browns fans had. Like the people there were happy and proud to be there. They were more excited. But for anybody else watching that's not a Browns fan or maybe not super familiar with that division or that team, I don't know. I don't think I've heard publicly people say the word brownies, not talking about like Russell Stovers or something like that.
You have to admit, the Browns fan are probably top 3.
They're an eccentric group.
They literally forced another team, like, we're going to sue you. We're keeping our name. You can get the fuck out of town, but we're keeping our name. That and they've been shitty, but they're like your typical like they're going to be on the Bud Light commercials because their fans are, the dog pound.
They've got some of the best fans. I'm not arguing that. Don't let it come across that way, but it
is, Dick.
Okay. All right. Well, then I'm poor at communicating my point. I just thought it was weird.
That's a given.
Thanks for that. Appreciate the vote of confidence, sir, co-host.
So who's your winner, buddy?
I think you've got a few winners, man. I'm going to go a little bit weird here. Alabama recruiting is the number one winner in my book.
2017 class?
6 first-round picks. How can any other team compete with that?
The 2000 and something Miami Hurricanes?
Yeah. No, not when you're doing active recruiting today. That's not the same team.
I'll agree to disagree, but yeah, good for them.
If you're Alabama and
I'll take that Miami team any day, but
no. Hold on. Let's be very clear here. I'm not saying that 2017 recruiting class was better than that 2004 Miami team. I'm simply saying if you're doing recruiting today, every player wants to go to the league and you're Alabama and you didn't already sell them with the fact that you're probably going to win a national championship.
I see what you're saying.
The 2021 draft, 6 of our guys, 6 starters went in the first round. No other team competes with that. No.
As if they needed that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, can they just not draft anybody? Like, can just Alabama be excluded and you just, I don't know, pick them as undrafted free agents. Whoever gives the most money, they get the player. I don't know.
I bet you Nick Saban's never even spilled a cup of hot coffee on himself. That's how perfect he is.
He is indeed.
Yep. What do you got?
So that's my biggest winner. What about you?
My biggest winner? It's been a long time coming for this franchise, and I have to admit, I think they hit every part that they needed to. I would say overall, the New York Jets, man. I mean, just in the first round alone, so they gave themselves a chance. They get Zach Wilson. How's he going to do? I don't know. And I'm going to get into that in a little bit when you tell me your winner, because I think we talked about this earlier. I hope he does good things. His pro day was obviously an awesome little, social media video going around. They protect him with the decent O-lineman, and then they get a little excitement. Elijah Moore, if you know anything about route running and you've seen his videos, the dude's a beast. They do another couple things. Michael Carter from North Carolina. They definitely built around the offense. The Jets are always going to be, defense heavy. They already got some studs on that side. So, yeah, I've got to give it to the Jets Jets, man. I think they get an overall A, and I think they were one of the big winners from this draft.
Yeah, I think that's a great call out. One of my other winners here before we get into losers. So one of my other winners would be just all of the quarterbacks and wide receivers that are going to be reunited from their college days. You've got Burrow, Jamar Chase, you've got Tua and Waddle, and you've got Jalen Hurts and Smith. I mean, I don't think I've seen that in recent memory.
That was a big pick for the Eagles, and I think they're up there towards the winner category, as I think he was a steal. I think the other team that had a big draft were the Titans, and that sucks because they're in the Texans division. Mm-hmm. But you know what? The way the Texans are fumbling is obviously we will talk about when we get to the losers. The Titans just had an overall good draft. I'm pulling up the specifics for it. But Tennessee, a.k.a. the original Houston Oilers, Caleb Farley. So he's an interesting story. Sitting out COVID, it looks like it worked out. He still is a first rounder. He's had 2 back surgeries. We'll see how he does. He may be a big steal. But they really did take care of a lot of things. Offensive tackle from North Dakota State, a linebacker from Georgia, if you're going to be linebacker and you're going to play for holy hell, Titans head coach. I got Maker's Mark brain freeze.
Oh, Vrabel.
Former Texan coach. Then, that's exciting things. So they did have a good draft, and I really hope things work out for Farley. when we talk to, I think we have to talk about overall quarterbacks. I'm going to talk about somebody who I don't think the COVID gamble paid off for him. But I saw on your notes Justin Fields and the Bears. Do you think they were an overall winner?
I think the Bears had the biggest steal of the draft. I don't think anybody saw that coming. I think the Bears were like, holy shit. And Bears fans were like, oh my God, we were actually going to have a chance at having a decent quarterback that isn't Andy Dalton or some other washed up Mitch Trubisky bullshit. What are your thoughts?
I agree, and I texted my buddy. I said, I think this is the steal of the draft because you have to tell me, what did Justin Fields ever do? And I know this, I know Stephen A. Smith has gone on multiple rants about this, but I will agree with Stephen A. Smith at times, and I will disagree. When we text each other about the Knicks, that's exciting. What did Justin Fields do to not be the second quarterback taken in this draft?
I can't give you a good answer on that.
No shot at the other guys. But you got a BYU quarterback who played a fairly easy schedule and had a very good year this year, but before that, injuries, things like that. Trey Lance obviously is going to be the gamble from San Francisco, and I like it. The story's great.
I don't.
Well, I like the story.
I like the story. I like him. I don't like the gamble by the Niners.
You can't knock the kid.
No.
But to take him at North Dakota State and to take I don't know what he did to be in the situation that he was. Like, why was he not the second quarterback taken? If you go back, you do the Elite 11 class years ago, you watch the games. Who was Trevor Lawrence battling with?
Justin Fields.
I don't get it.
All I can tell you is he hands off the ball good as fuck. So, I don't know.
Justin Fields hands off the ball good as fuck.
Yeah, you don't remember that line from when he was at Georgia and they heard him talking to one of his teammates. Like, they got him on audio as he's walking off the field because he got to play finally, and he's like, "I handed that ball off good as fuck." Like, he was joking.
I like him even more. I like
he's just like sarcastic as hell, and then he's gone the next year.
I hope he does great things. I hope he
does too.
The Mahomes of this draft class. I hope he does good things. It was a very go for it.
No, I would say he was my least favorite personally because he's an Ohio State quarterback going into the draft, and that's nothing to do with his talent, nothing to do with his person. It's just like me not liking Ohio State. But I am rooting for him. I completely agree with you. I like Trey Lance as a person. Like, as a kid, I don't love the pick, and I almost want to root against him because he was the number 3 pick. In my opinion, he was overdrafted. I know that's shitty. Trey
Lance going 12 is a great story. Trey Lance
going to the Bears at his pick.
That would be a great story. I just don't understand. I just don't understand how Justin Fields did nothing to drop down in the rankings. Quarterbacks were a great story. If you love the bright stars and the attention getters, this was a cool draft. You had it all over the place. Mac Jones, who?
Not Mike Jones.
Mac Jones?
Not Mike Jones.
Thoughts? Did Belichick just do a Belichick? Did he steal the draft? Is he going to walk away?
I don't know, man.
Let's get another Super Bowl.
There are too many comparisons in my mind to McCarron and McElroy. Great, systematic. We've had this argument before. Alabama quarterbacks with so many weapons around you that are so far and beyond the talent on the field standing up opposite from them. That's not the case in the NFL. I don't believe that Mac Jones has the arm strength. I don't believe he has the accuracy. I don't think he has the, frankly, field general mentality that it takes to win. I think it's a very stereotypical Bill Belichick pick. I don't think it's going to win the Patriots any more games than if they would stick with Cam Newton.
First and foremost, the Patriots had an excellent draft.
I'm not arguing that point.
I'm not.
Beyond Mac
I
Jones.
just want to throw that in. They got a hell of a draft.
Sure, he did the Bill Belichick thing, but I think the Mac Jones was a dumb thing.
There are a lot of comparisons to Tom Brady, Mac Jones, Tom Brady, same number of letters. I know you saw the picture of their dad bods in college going around the internet. And here's the thing. Mac Jones is not going to be told to run out of the pocket and do things. He's going to be told to, hey, just manage the game. There's going to be pressure there for Mac Jones because, of course, they are going to do what I just did jokingly, and they are going to compare him to Tom Brady every step of the way. And I texted you this. I can't even, what's his name? Old boy who was possibly the starter for the Patriots at the beginning of the year. I was going to go to Tech, and I dropped out and went to Baylor, and then I ended up at
Jarrett Stidham.
Yeah, things ain't looking so good for Jarrett Stidham.
No, but it's the same situation though.
As in what?
He wasn't going to be asked to win games. He was going to be asked to manage it.
Yeah, and he literally just had to be decent, and I think he would have got the nod.
Sure. No, I agree. I think if you looked at college caliber of talent, Jarrett Stidham played light years beyond where Mac Jones played and did it with less talented.
I think Mac Jones just step into the best situation depending on what Cam Newton he gets to work with.
Great. I agree. I think if you say, did Mac Jones win in this draft? Oh yeah, totally. He's going from the greatest college coach to one of the greatest, if not the greatest, NFL coach. He doesn't know what a bad coach is. How mind-blowing is that?
And I take that back. Justin Fields is going into Chicago where they have Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton is saying, like, hey, they brought me in to be the starter, but Andy Dalton can still be a great mentor. Trey Lance is going to be there with Jimmy Garoppolo, who has been fantastic the last couple of days. Just class act. Texting him, first text Trey Lance got, saying that he's ready to help the guy out. But Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have the ceiling that Cam Newton does. Does that mean Cam Newton's going to be a better mentor than Jimmy Garoppolo? Not at all. Poor Zach Wilson's over there in New York. He's going to be the dude from day one, and he's got to be. So
that honestly might be what he's the least successful of this group. Like, because if you talk about like,
I was all cool. They drafted Sam Darnold again. Like,
they will always draft Sam Darnold because they will never bring in a decent quarterback other than Joe Flacco. Is Flacco still there?
Who cares? I don't know.
Well, he could be a good mentor, dude.
Joe Flacco's always. I don't think Joe Flacco's exactly a mentor.
It doesn't matter whether he's good or not. It doesn't matter that it's years in the league, tell you what to do, the ins and outs, how to really make it work. He's won. Flacco's won,
but I think he's still trying to be that guy. I don't think he's.
I agree. There's a level of arrogance that has to be pushed to the wayside, and you have to be.
And we haven't even talked about Trevor Lawrence, but I think that was so talked about. Like, he was a Jaguar for 5 months, and Urban Meyer has literally said, "I'm not throwing him to the Wolves because he saw Alex Smith get thrown to the Wolves."
Yep.
And he said he would never do that to somebody. So
he's going to bring in Tim Tebow to play tight end for him.
Sure, why not? I wouldn't expect too much from Trevor Lawrence this year. You're going to absolutely – Zach Wilson will be on the field. Justin Field, maybe. But Mac Jones, I think he gets the best treatment overall. He's got the Belichick system. Tom Brady was behind Drew Bledsoe. So we'll see.
Yeah, I would agree with you from long-term success. I always look at the Favre-Rodgers model as probably being the best possible situation, assuming that Favre is not arrogant like Favre is. But Rodgers got to sit behind Favre and learn, right? Now, that's the ideal situation. But Garoppolo's got enough years underneath him, and he seems to be wanting to do the right thing for Trey Lance. You've already laid out, but there's a possibility these guys could at least sit for 8 games, right? Maybe even a year, or no pressure of last 8 games because you've already fucked for the year. But you're okay. I like the Jags' overall situation better than the Patriots, but I do think that Mac Jones is walking into a better situation.
Losers?
I had Mac Jones as a loser, or the Pats with Mac Jones. But we already talked about the Niners. The one that we haven't talked about is Carolina with J.C. Horn. The fuck was that? Patrick Surtain was still on the board, and you pick a South Carolina cornerback? I mean, I just don't understand it. I'm not saying the guy's not talented.
Pre-draft, I think they were actually pretty close. And you talk about I don't want to get sidetracked, but I don't know if that would be. That's not a big argument. I think they were pretty close.
I agree.
Because that goes back to my question. Those are the two that Cowboys wanted, and with the quarterback loving Broncos drafting, I felt a kick in the nuts for Cowboy fans because Surtain got taken off the board right before them. When you heard all the rumbling of the Broncos could have taken Justin Fields, like that's what I was texting you, and then they take Surtain.
Elway said, "Drew Lock's my dude." That was a weird move.
And it's funny because I texted a good, reliable Cowboy fan, realistic Cowboy fan, and he had it down. You know, I want Horn or Surtain. I want to trade some draft picks, kind of pick up somebody in the second round. So I texted him right away. I was like, "Oh man, that was a kick in the nuts." But I don't know. I wouldn't say that was a loss. I say that's a toss up between those two. Who else did you say was a loser in your mind?
I didn't like the Niners pick of Trey Lance. We already talked about that though, and then Mac Jones. Mac Jones himself's a winner. The Pats, I think it's a bad pick. Yeah, I don't think there were any other solid quarterbacks left in the first round to be drafted. I think Mac Jones could have been a second round pick.
Jamie Newman was the other guy that I was talking about earlier. He was the one who transferred from Wake Forest, could have played at Georgia this last year, decided to sit out and concentrate on the draft because of COVID. Goes undrafted. He was actually one of the best available when people like Ellinger and
Kyle Trask.
I don't know if he was best available before Trask. I know he was.
Trask was drafted second round.
Yeah, no. So no. He was best available like third, fourth, so forth. Ellinger gets picked over him. Somebody else may have been picked over him as well. The COVID gamble didn't work out for him. He ends up signing with the Eagles. So that's one who it didn't pay off for.
I would have liked the Pats to sit on Mac Jones, see if he's available in the second round, and if he's not, pick up Kyle Trask. I feel like Kyle Trask has the length, has the ability, has the arm to do well in that Patriots system. I just don't feel like Mac Jones is a first rounder.
We will see. Losers, obviously, it was a shit show before the draft even started. It was miserable. I feel they got forced into taking David Mills, Houston Texans. I don't know. I don't know what the heck's going on. You sit here, you think, okay, let's ride the wave. Let's see Deshaun Watson get through this mess and then kind of say, hey, Deshaun, let's just concentrate on football for a while. I don't know. They got Brevin Jordan in the 5th round, and that was a speck of glitter on a piece of shit, I guess. Anyway, moving on.
Is a 5th rounder ever a speck of gold? Or you say glitter? Okay, that's more like it.
Yeah, you've had some good 5th rounders there, buddy.
Yeah, they're few
and then the Green Bay Packers. Not only do they possibly lose their star quarterback, but then they also pick Aaron Stokes from Georgia, which he can be a great kid. But the point is, if you had helped out your boy, things would have been great. Stokes was fast. Don't get me wrong, but there's still questions around him. Yeah, so that's who I think lost the draft.
So, end of the day, did the draft live up to the hype or the excitement that we thought it would?
I think it was what it was. The quarterbacks went fast. I think the excitement definitely started with Trey Lance at 3, because that
shook shit up.
But it was what it was.
I was talking to one of our other buddies, and and we were going back and forth about the whole Waddle versus Devontae Smith situation, right? And he was like, "There's no way, you can't tell me that Tua's sitting there. No, Waddle's better. I played with both. Waddle's better. Give me Waddle." I was like, "Yeah, but Smith is a Heisman winner," and he was like, "I don't care. Waddle's way faster."
Eric
And I looked
Crouch
him
was a
up,
Heisman winner.
and that's true. I did not realize though that Waddle was A, so short, but B, because we started doing the whole Hill comparison, and Hill is listed at 5'10". Did you know that? I was like, he's 5'8" tops.
Okay, so what did they say Waddle was?
I think it's 5'9.5" or something like that.
And what's Devontae Smith at? 6?
6'1", something like that.
Yeah. Dolphins had a hell of a draft too. They
did have a hell of a draft.
I think
they got what they needed.
Got possibly the Steele Phillips from Miami. He's the one who had the interesting story. UCLA had to retire from football. He was even hit on a scooter or something, and then came back, and he looks good on film. So if he can get things going, he'll be a steal too. So let's talk whiskey. I'm excited.
Let's talk whiskey.
I want to know that $72 bottle of whiskey that you got there.
78.
What is the grade on that pallet?
Okay. You get oak or you get wood. It's wood. I think that the pecan starts to come out in the front of it. A little bit of chocolate. You get a little bit of like, this is where I kept going back and forth. I was talking to my wife. I'm like, what is that taste? I get like this cinnamon toast with like brown sugar situation. So I don't know if that's French toast or if it's not French toast. I can't remember. But like cinnamon toast, but with brown sugar on it. A little bit of honey drizzled on there. That's what it tastes like. Not very bitter on the back end. Pretty smooth throughout. Overall, it may just be the whiskey talking, but this is everything I like in whiskey. A+. I'm being a little generous, but it's where I landed.
So that's good to know. It's good to know that a expensive whiskey is living up to. And I'm looking back at your notes, and you may have said this. Where did you see where in Kentucky?
So that's the thing I can't find. I don't know what juice it is.
And is it Kentucky juice or is it?
On the label, it says bourbon whiskey. It does not say Kentucky.
What's it say on the back of the label?
Literally nothing. Except Louisville.
Oh, there you go.
It's bottled by Belfour Spirits in Louisville, Kentucky. It does not say where it's distilled.
All right. So the label, fresh, a fruit forward expression. A little bit of red fruit, but lots of vanilla. Oh, yeah, it is a big apple bite. Vanilla apple, some cherry, the oak. The tobacco is not as big on the taste, I would say, as it is on the nose.
Can I ask, are we talking like bitter apple or are we talking like apple butter?
No, apple butter, man.
And it's fucking like beautiful.
And it's like a French toast bite. And there, it just has that classic. You can tell this is a Maker's Mark product. It's right up there with the cask strength, which it's about the same proof, 110. It may have a little finish where the fruit dies off and you get more of the alcohol, ethanol kind of. But God, I'm enjoying this one. I'm enjoying this one. And I didn't want to sound like such a Maker's Mark fan bitch. But I gotta give this an A too, man. I can, like, you've seen me sipping on this. Like, this is, I can finish half this bottle right now.
Those are the danger ones. Those are the dangerous ones. I'm going to send you a sample of this if you send me a sample of that.
I don't know if I'm going to be able to, but yeah, agreed. Yeah, let's do it.
Don't be such an asshole. Don't be such a dick. All right. So you said A plus. I say
No,
what'd
A.
you say? A. Okay, so I said A plus. I probably am overstretching this a little bit as I think about it, and you start to describe yours because mine's got a little bit more bitter bite on the back end, but I like it overall. So I'm going to keep with the A plus on the palate. That brings us into our fourth dram. So this is our classic whiskey news section. Admittedly, I'm probably going to do a little bit of more of, hey, live from the bulletin board, we've got the daily update. And Kurt here is going to give me his thoughts here, and I'll kind of wrap around it and see if I can add any more anecdotes to what we're talking about. First and foremost, on the docket, the oldest bottle of American whiskey was recently discovered from Evans and Ragland, a grocer and whiskey bottler that operated in LaGrange, Georgia for about 10 years after the Civil War. So pretty interesting. They actually did a carbon dating of the whiskey itself. So they stuck a syringe into the bottle through the cork, pulled out a little sample of the whiskey, and did carbon dating on it. And they found out this was distilled somewhere between 1763 and 1803.
That's pretty damn old, buddy.
That's pretty fucking old, right? So the Skinner's Auctioneers, which is an auction house, is planning to sell this at a auction here in late June. The hammer price is expected to be around $40,000 for one bottle of whiskey. Knowing what some of the other whiskeys that were super hard to get your hand on, Pappy 23.
Split that or what?
Dude, secondary market on the Eagle Rare 20 is $20,000. So
right, cool. So do you take Bitcoin?
Take Dogecoin.
Ah, got you. Doggy coin. Got it.
Yeah. So I don't know, man. Like, this is not the oldest bottle of whiskey ever. It's not. It's the oldest bottle of American whiskey. $40,000. Knowing that Eagle Rare 20 runs at $20,000. Do you just pony up and buy the one bottle that's the oldest bottle in the United States for the extra $20,000 rather than trying to go after Eagle Rare 20?
You're asking me like that's like just ponying up like another like $200. No, I don't fucking get anywhere near both of those. I get to hear stories that you tell me about them, and that's it.
That's it.
That's all I got. I mean, yeah, yeah, sure. Let's just pony up to $20,000. Sure.
I thought it was an interesting anecdote. Not something you hear every day. It's very interesting to see the ultra aged. I'm sorry, not ultra aged, ultra old American whiskeys actually starting to get up there in price. So not a lot of history about the bottle. You can actually, there's a New York Times article out there that you can read more about it if you're interested. The next one we've got is Michter's 10 year. That's about to hit the shelves. Have you ever had your hands on or had a sip of Michter's 10 year? It's got like the oval-ish bottle.
No, you were there the night that I had my hands on Michter's 20, but I have not had Michter's 10. Michter's 20 is the top of the mountain for me. It's up there. It was beautiful. I cry every time I think about it, but I have not had Michter's 10. What about you?
No, I've never had Michter's 10. Never seen it on the shelves, but allegedly you can find it if you're lucky. There is a large secondary market for it that's going to push $300-400 for a bottle. Curious thing about this is a barrel of it was sold in London last year, July 2020. Can you guess how much?
London, July 2020. Are we talking pounds or are we talking dollars?
Dollars. US dollars.
Just to do my conversion in my head. I'm going to go $678.45.
You're just a little bit outside on that one. $210,000.
Holy shnikes.
Yeah, for a barrel of whiskey.
God dang it, they love their American products.
Apparently, man. I don't know where that oldest bottle is going to be sold, but if it's sold in the UK, I mean, you might want to put a premium on that one.
As long as they keep making Peaky Blinders, I have no complaints.
Amen to that. I'm just so confused by this, right? So typically the yield out of a barrel is what, 150 bottles, something like that?
They yield?
Yeah.
Do they
Depending on
ever
what you proof it
stop?
out at. They just slow down and roll right through it.
Oh, okay. Got it.
So I don't know, man. Like it's wild to me to see that like some of these prices are getting just so absurd and out there. And I think it just runs along with the inflation we're seeing in many avenues of our economy, for lack of better terms. Um, there's not really much to talk about on this. It's just a wild and out there fact. It's like Ripley's Believe It or Not bullshit, dude. Where do we stop? Like, is there a cap? Is there a bubble here? Or is we just going to keep like baseball cards? Mickey Mantle first year signed is always going to be worth stupid amount of money and it's always going to increase. Or,
Tell you
but
what, if they ever make early times over $40, I'm fucking out. That's it.
so
I'm done.
you put your cap on it. 23 to $40, you're out. Fuck that
Yep.
$17 difference. All right.
Yep.
Cool. It always makes me think like there is a bubble on bourbon, just like there's a bubble on any collector interest thing. Like let's use baseball cards. Does a Mickey Mantle card ever become less expensive because there's less people interested? It has to be, right? It has to be. People find new interests. There was a time back in pre-prohibition and post-prohibition that whiskey was the shit, and then it became all but the clear liquors. Where's our cap? Where are we going to be able to pick up Pappy 23 on the shelves again for the true whiskey lovers?
I don't know, but speaking of Mickey Mantle, the Yankees beat the shit out of the Astros tonight, so that's a nice little tidbit to throw in there. But going back to what you were saying. No, whiskey's the thing right now, man. It's just going to keep getting crazy and crazy.
And with that being said, everybody and their mother's getting in on the whiskey game. Our Han Solo himself, Harrison Ford, has partnered up with the Wyoming Whiskey Company, and they are creating a new collection to help support the National Parks Foundation. And this is a whole new series. Wide Open Spaces is going to be available to really support Wyoming and its natural beauty and the National Parks Association, or I'm sorry, National Parks Foundation. And effective 4/27, you're able to pick it up and select New York, Georgia, Colorado, and Wyoming realtors, as well as the Reserve Bar and Flavor for $50. I don't know that there's a whole lot of story here other than it seems like every celebrity and their mother is trying to get into alcohol, and we're seeing more and more get into whiskey itself. Where does it stop?
I don't fucking like gin at all, but I had Ryan Reynolds gin at your house, and
It's pretty good.
It was delightful.
It's actually not his gin anymore.
Yeah, he just sold it, right?
Yeah, just like Conor McGregor.
Oh, we got to talk about that.
Tell us about it.
McGregor. How much was it?
600 mil?
600 million? Said, oh, this was my baby. Now I'm going to fucking sell it for a shitload of money.
It's a shitload of money for a shit whiskey. Cool.
Shit whiskey or not, man. Yeah, he's going to keep doing. I mean, there's one thing McGregor's always done, and that's market himself. And I think he's still going to be the face of it. So that's pretty cool. Do you think
Ryan Reynolds doing the same thing?
Do you think this Harrison Ford thing is just, you think he has hands on, or he's just like, yeah, give me some money and throw my face on it?
From what I understood from the articles I read, there's 2 or 3 of them out there. It's actually been kind of a pet project for him because he's super into like national parks and preserving them, specifically in Wyoming. So this was one of those things that I think it was an opportunistic partnership, but he does seem to have passion for it.
That's pretty cool. And Wyoming whiskey, just like Oregon whiskey, there are those that I've always seen and I've thought about grabbing. Never have. Have you ever got your hands on those?
Nope. They do got a kind of a cool bottle. It's kind of got this like, I don't know, wax topped looking thing.
The Wyoming one?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the Oregon one sometimes comes in the Scotch looking container.
Yeah. I haven't had that. You mean like the tin?
Yeah. Did you see the documentary I sent you that I had no idea was released like this year? And
no, I didn't get a chance to watch it. Yeah, with the Wyoming whiskey or the Oregon whiskeys, I haven't seen those on purpose, but I haven't seen those in person, but I did want to ratchet back because you did the McGregor transition and made me think of the McGregor Mayweather situation. Right? There was a fight with him, right?
Right. Yeah, they
Okay.
had a boxing match.
And then it made me think of the recent story about Logan Paul and Mayweather agreeing to a fight. Have you read that?
Yeah, it's like apparently in June.
Yeah. What do you think's going to happen with that?
I think like Mike Tyson told, is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul?
It's
I don't
Logan
know.
Paul.
Told him to his face, Mayweather's going to kick your ass. I think that's going to happen. Does Mayweather knock him out? Maybe. Yeah, Mayweather's going to piece him up, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be a lot of people spending a lot of money. I don't know. Somebody was telling me, I don't know anything about Logan Paul other than he was a YouTube star. Somebody was saying that he is an athletic dude.
I mean, he's built. The dude is trained.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that he's not in shape, but he's not a boxer. He keeps fighting dudes and claiming titles that dudes who like don't fight. I mean, I don't know if you watched his last fight with the guy he fought. I love the fact that Pete Davidson went around and was basically like, Logan Paul's a little bitch, like doing the interviews in the back. I thought that was great. I just pulled it up though. Something completely unrelated, rabbit hole here. Apparently, Chad Johnson is going to compete in one of the exhibition bouts leading up on the card.
Against who? Like Terrell Owens? Because that would be cool.
Yeah, it doesn't say who he's going to fight yet, but apparently he just said on a podcast or something like that this week that he's going to be Sweet Feet Johnson and he'll be out there fighting.
If it's him versus like Joe Rogan, I'm all in. That would be awesome.
Joe Rogan's reaction during that MMA fight.
Oh, that was classic. All right. These were expensive bottles. They had a lot to live up to. What's your rating on yours?
So I'm going to do a little bit different than I usually do. Typically, I give them the mid grade between the two, the palate and the nose. I'm going to tell you, like, in my opinion, the nose, although I graded it lower, is something you can kind of live in, right? It's what you think the candle should taste like. The palate's good. I still think it's an A+ palate, but I'm going to give this an overall A- rather than an A, simply because I don't want it to not live up to the price of the bottle. If you know what you're getting into, don't expect this to be the best $80 bottle you buy. It is solid. It is going to make you happy, but it is not going to win over anybody at the $80 price point. What about you, Kurt? What are you thinking? The Maker's Mark.
Well, that's good stuff. I'm glad that it actually, that's a pretty good grade for an expensive bottle. So, as I said on the palette, I tried to put the Maker's Mark fan base aside, but I can't do that with this bottle because it has so many of the same good things that I like in it. I enjoyed 101. Maker's Mark 101 was good. I love this stuff. Like, this is good. The palate was there. I'm tasting it right now. I'm getting, like, I just had a fresh maple syrup pancakes in the morning, but with a cigar smoke finish. Really weird, but both fantastic. $68 is just right. In fact, it was next to, how they do those Maker's Mark store picks, like the blends the liquor stores do.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Specs always is like Bill Jr.'s or something like that.
Yes. In fact, it was Bill Jr.'s that was right next to. Bill Jr.'s was more than this one. And rumor has it, I think it's Bill Jr.'s is allegedly, and I probably should have bought that one by now, is just Maker's 46 cask strength, which you can't find in Texas.
Oh.
Because if you look at the label, all 10 barrels are in a 46, something like that. Anyway, that was 72. This was like 68. Nose was A, palate was A. I'm going to give this an A. Like, this was awesome. I love it. I don't see it lasting too long. It just continues to make me, grow that Maker's Mark. You can't go wrong with Maker's Mark. I don't care what anybody says.
That'd be a fun one to do right there. Bill Jr.
I do need to get that because it is on the shelf. Like, it is on the shelf at Specs.
I know. I think you and I should both pick it up, and we should do a Bill Jr. What in the world of whiskey?
I mean, yeah.
Who is he? What do you know about him?
Well, I think he's Bill Senior's son.
Let's find out about him.
Sure. No, this is a good one. I like it, and I know there's going to be the Maker's Mark comments, but I gotta give it an A. There's nothing wrong with it. If I see it on the shelf again, I may buy it again.
All right, awesome. I think we have to do that Bill Juniors together. Let's do that. Plan on doing that. I think that gets us across the goal line. Move into our closeout section. So, Kurt, I'll hand it off to you, sir.
All right, we talked everything and anything about the draft. We talked about Aaron Rodgers' drama. Dick filled us in the world of whiskey. We gave our remarks on these two expensive bottles that apparently, if you can find them, grab them. They're both good hits. Dick, lay us with the socials.
Yeah, appreciate that, Kurt. Dick always likes to fill you guys in. Let's go ahead and talk about our social media. Of course, we got fourthdramandgoal.com. That's 4THDramandGoal. Instagram and Twitter at 4THDram. And, of course, our Facebook and email, fourthdramandgoal@gmail.com. Like we said at the beginning, tell your friends about us. If we think we're funny, get a chuckle out of us, let us know what your thoughts are about the show. And then don't forget to rate and review us on your favorite Apple Podcasts, Audible, CastBox, Spotify, et cetera, et cetera. And before we close out, the best, the greatest, the one and only quote of the episode. Kurt, can you lay it on us?
I'm going to hit you with a curveball, Dick.
Hey.
I don't have a quote this week. I want to give more of a cheers. When you watch the draft, when I watched the draft in recent years, I still think one of the best stories ever was the story of John Tuggle. It was a documentary, mystery relevant, picked by the Giants, passed away from cancer. It was 30 for 30, Bill Parcells. Just heartstring stuff. Cool story. Great guy. Anything that gets Bill Parcells choked up, I mean, that's some manly stuff right there. So, no quote today, but more of a cheers to the memory of John Tuggle, the mystery relevant. So, cheers, John Tuggle. And to the next snap, and to the next dram.
Drink on, drammers.
So I am double vaccinated. No, wait. Edit that part out. And don't fucking leave it in there like you did in the last show.